Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of Robbie's Backstage Bants. Today I'm joined by Mike Holoway. How are you doing?
Hey, Robbie, how are you? I'm loving the red velvet behind you. The curtains are drawn, but they'll be open soon. I hope there's a single spotlight behind those tabs.
There might be.
Hey, do you know that superstition?
I don't. Wait, is it?
Well, when the theatres are dark, which sadly they are across the world, you always leave one spotlight on.
Just one.
In the hope, just one, a single spotlight. There's a lot that a mentor like me can teach you guys, because it's really important. You always leave one light on because that is the hope that it'll be lit again. So there you go.
There. Wow. Well, I'm assuming there will be one lit behind there. maybe when the theatre's open, we'll have to open it up and see.
Wouldn't that be lovely for your special, Bants series? And it's so good what you're doing, because you're engaging and keeping it all positive, which is really, really good. Well done.
Thank you. It is fun as well. I'm really enjoying it. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how have you been coping through this sort of everything shut down? And
well, it's been a massive challenge for everybody. And that's an understatement, I think. There's loads of things that I could go into, but I'll keep it what I call on the entertainment supportive side. Our industry's been absolutely mullered by this, as we all know. And it's very, very sad in a lot of cases, with all the technicals, stage management, crew, light technicians, ASMs, DSMs, not just performers, it's everybody that's been absolutely slammed with this. But I, of course, got the virus in January, which was awful. And thanks to my Emma, we got through it. I'll leave it there, because I wouldn't want to go through anything like that ever again. So, Robbie, for everybody listening to this show, I call you and all of us warriors of our time, because we're getting through it. I've written some music, I've relied on music, and I'm just getting back into my voice now, because for about 3 months I haven't really been able to use it. So it's been a massive test, and well done everybody for keeping cool and keeping the mental mind muscle sharp, because it's played a lot of tricks, Robbie.
It has. It's been tough, but we've all got through it, which is what we've got to hang on to, which is awesome. So the first sort of things I want to talk about today is your journey and how you got to where you are. So my first question, it's quite broad, you can do what you want with it, is what is the journey of how you got to where you are today?
Well, Robbie, it's a long story short. When I was 5, I was tapping. A bit of a paradiddle going on there. And my granddad was a jazz drummer. So he put me on his knee and gave me the stick for the hi-hat.
Oh, wow.
Which I picked up very quickly. And so very quickly I became a drummer, because it was there. It was in my bones. So drumming was my intro to the business. I went to a music school when I was 11, and I met John, who was a guitarist in the jazz band. And then we formed a little group called the Young Revival when we were 10, 12. Well, how old am I now? 12, called the Young Revival. We did things like Blue Peter, and lots of social gigs in those days, because there was loads of them around. And then I discovered my voice when Roger Price discovered me for Thames Television to do a series called You Must Be Joking. And that's where it really started. My group's name was changed to Flintlock. The rest is history. I sang, I played drums, I did all the sketches, did the gags. But how old are you, Robbie?
I am 15.
15, right, okay. So I started my journey as a pop star when I was 12.
Wow.
People don't realise this, So by the time I was your age, and it's so lovely, all the memories that are popping up on Facebook right now, all the looking, all the teeny mags. My pop star days were between the age of 12 and 17.
Wow.
So there you go. So that was my intro to the business as a drummer, and then became a vocalist with the drumming going sort of succinct together.
Yeah.
Then the acting, of course, I rolled into the Tomorrow People, which was a massive sci-fi series. It's still out there. It's on BritBox.
Wow.
So you can still go and watch it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's a long story short of a journey of someone, coming into the business at the age of sort of nine or 10 years old.
Incredible.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for that. And did you have any other career paths in mind, or was it always you wanted to do music?
That's a really interesting question. The simple answer is that there was no other journey, because it was so obvious that was where I was going. I left school when I was 12. I had to have a private tutor to work alongside me when I was doing, because I was on telly every day, 5 days a week for 3 years.
Wow.
So I had, schooling in the lunch break. So it was pretty much what it was meant to be, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went to a music school, of course, paid my dues, learned my music, did sight reading, did grade 8 trumpet, actually. I had to play a second instrument. Yeah. But this is a funny story. Not a lot of people know this. I had to give it up because when I went for one of my exams, I think it was grade 4 or 5, I did the exam in the morning in London, and then I rushed over to Thames Television to record some Tomorrow People. And of course, I had a big red mark on my lips because of the embouchure of the playing of the trumpet. And Roger Price came running down the stairs from the gallery where they were filming, and he said, "What's that on your face?" I said, "Nothing." He said, you've got this big swollen lip and this red mark on your lip. What? I said, "Oh, well, I've just done a trumpet exam." He said, "Well, you'll have to give it up." He said, "Because you can't film today because you look ridiculous." So I had to give it up because it affected, obviously, the filming. So there you go.
Wow. That is it's a good story, that, actually.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to jump into a bit about your career. Now, you mentioned your band and your group. So what was that like?
It was surreal because, again, there was no preparation for it in the early 70s. I mean, being screamed at, being mobbed, all those things were part of the 70s era with the Osmonds, David Cassidy, there was us, Flintlock, there was myself, Slade, the Glitter Band, there was Guys and Dolls, there were so many bands, Sheer Elegance, the 3 Degrees, still around now. And of course, we were all experimental because there was no formula. So you kind of learned about being a pop star or a pop person as you went day to day. And it was surreal, sometimes dangerous, sometimes a lot of risks. I can remember coming out of a concert at the Apollo Theatre Victoria in London. With a screaming audience, and then we had to come out of the stage door and rushed into a car, but all of the fans climbed over the car. So our bouncer then, his name was Mike. If he's listening by any chance, I'd love to see you again, buddy. And he said, "All of you, go on your backs and put your feet on the roof of the car," because the roof was coming in. And the noise of the fans banging on the car, seriously, was unbelievable. So, there was a lot of bizarre experiences. We couldn't really hear ourselves live because the screaming at the concerts, they had no way of getting over it. Now they've got all the technology and all the gizmos, but we were playing and you couldn't really hear yourself because the screaming at the pop concerts was so loud.
I guess you must have known that you were doing something right then if you had the screaming. I suppose if the screaming stopped, you'd be like, "Oh."
Yes, that would be a worry. But we did kind of say, well, if you'd like to listen to us, maybe you should stop. But it didn't work.
Just let us sing. Yeah. And then obviously a huge part of your career is Joseph, which is an incredible show. Now, how did that start for you? How did Joseph come about?
Well, that's a very good question, Robbie, because in simple terms, when pop finished for me, punk rock came along and glam rock, the pretty look went very quickly. Punk rock arrived in the late 70s and it lasted right through to the mid 80s, as you probably know. I crossed into theatre, and a wonderful man called John Chilvers saw me, perchance, just doing a charity concert in the East End of London. He said, I think you'd make a good Joseph. I was then 18. And this was at the Swansea Grand Theatre back in the day when it was a beautiful theatre run by a stunning man called John Chilvers. And he gave me, I owe him this, he gave me my opening to theatre. And I played Joseph for 3 weeks at the Swansea Grand. And then I did Panto. I then did Gospel, Grease, Jesus Christ Superstar, Tommy the musical, and then Bill Kenwright's Henry Metcalfe saw me in a big musical called Humpty Dumpty with Keith Harris and Bobby Crush, and he said, "You're going to be my next Joseph," and I lasted just under 4 years in the first run with the big tour. Wow. And that was the sort of 1983 to 1986, 7.
Yeah.
But then I kept guesting. I came back in 2000. I came back in 2002. And then I last guest starred in it in 2005. So I do officially hold the record for playing Joseph over the longest period of time. And I've played him more than anybody else. So very proud of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that must have been an absolute experience for you then, doing the tour. You must have done a hell of a lot of casts as well. You must have outrun a lot of other casts.
Yeah, well, thousands of brothers, probably about 12 narrators, probably somewhere in the regions of 15 to 20 pharaohs, and all of them amazing. We always had a great relationship on stage professionally and after shows together because we were doing 12 shows a week then.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And that is unbelievable. And it does make me smile when people complain about doing 6 or 8 shows a week, because for us, that would have been a holiday.
Yeah, it would have been, especially.
Yeah.
Well, how did that fit in then in your week?
Well, basically, we had to do, obviously, the matinee in the evening. Some days we did a morning show. So we would do 11 o'clock, 2:30 and 7 o'clock. And therefore, there wasn't a lot of time for socializing. Genuinely, we had to be quite strict with bedtime, rest time. Otherwise, your voice would just, you'd lose it.
Yeah. Wow, that is incredible. 12-show week.
Yeah.
And then obviously we did the Joseph concert last year, which was awesome to do, to work with all of you guys on that, which was so exciting for me. And how did that work for you then? I mean, obviously I know how it worked, but people at home might not know how the whole thing went down.
Well, it was amazing because on my radio show, Jordan, and then now yourself, obviously, have been great supporters. I call everybody my digital warriors. It's got a big following now. And my show is different and a bit quirky, and I feature lots of different things. So Jordan and I kind of had this thing about Joseph, and I indeed in lockdown, as you probably know, I used to do live singing on my radio show of excerpts from Joseph or from Les Mis or from various musicals like Evita, and that sprung the idea. You guys then put us all together in digital world, and it was quite strange, you people out there watching this interview, because like I've got my earphones in now, basically you're singing to the backtrack, but you're singing into a microphone so that you can send it digitally to Jordan and Robbie's team so that they could then put that vocal into the mix. But it was really weird. It took a bit of getting used to.
It was a long project. I'll put it that way. It was long, but I was really pleased with the outcome. I thought it was it was what everybody needed.
It was a great uplift for everybody, A. B, it gave everybody an edge in a very difficult time, because through that first lockdown, we were all in shock. And so it was nice to put something out there that people and fans of theatre and musicals could connect with myself and Darren, and the whole team and the wonderful narrators and all the brothers that joined. And you did a great job. You know, it's very difficult to edit that kind of thing. So fair play, fair credit to all of you.
It's very, very fun as well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good.
And there was a lot of cast involved, which was incredible. I was so pleased so many people wanted to get involved with that.
Yeah.
Especially with it being charity work as opposed to unpaid, with all you guys being out of work. But at that point, we didn't know how long it was going to be. We were like, a couple of months, it'll be fine. And now here we are, a year on. So you mentioned the other shows you've done, such as Godspell and Superstar. Yeah. So what were they like?
Well, yeah, they were very, very different subject matters, but still needed the, because back then, of course, there was no click tracks or auto tunes or voice vocoders, or you had to deliver the goods or you were out. So all these musicals, you had to train everybody to become very vocally astute. And in terms of power, you needed a bit of a voice on you, because otherwise you would never be heard. So of course, doing all of these shows, it just built the stamina, built the technique. I was trained. I was so very fortunate. He's no longer with us, but a man called Ian Adams. There'll be a lot of people out there listening that know of him. He was the master vocal coach. He never played with your sound, but he gave you a formidable voice technique so that you could always support and get through colds and flus and find ways around it.
Wow.
So I found all of those shows very empowering to my cause, which was to become a vocal athlete, which we had to be back then.
Yeah.
There was no choice. Yeah.
And I bet it must have been challenging. I know for a start, Jesus Christ Superstar is a very, very vocally challenging show.
Yeah.
So that must have been quite difficult to build that stamina up.
Well, it was indeed. But you see, bear in mind, I also, along with the MD at the time, put all the top notes into Joseph, like into Close Every Door. I go up into Super G's and top B flats. And I put the top notes on, give me my color coat, my amazing color. I'm not and can't do it right now because I'm still getting my equipment back in order after having the virus. But we put those notes in. So depending on who plays Joseph, it doesn't matter. The top note is an F. But I put all the top notes into the show whilst I was in it. Wow. So therefore, that was the preempt for doing the bigger roles vocally. But don't bear in mind the brothers to do 2 shows a day every day. That's formidable. And there was no shows off. There was no understudies. It was just you found the way. Yeah.
So do you think now some days, these days people have it a bit easy compared to how you had it?
To be honest, yes. Absolutely. Because, you sometimes can tell, because sometimes performers have got 2 lavaliers. They've got one either side of their ear. So they've got 2 mics. So therefore, if their voice isn't strong, and I know this happens, and, fine, that's okay. But for me personally, I like to see, and I can tell when a performer is ripping the shit out of the vocal that they are doing at that time. Yeah. And that's what gives me goosebumps. And I know most people feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to jump onto the fans' questions, which is always nice and exciting to do. So the first question is from Ryan, and Ryan's asked, how many years in total were you Joseph?
In total, it would be approximately it would be about 6 years.
Wow.
Ballpark, not continuous, but with months in, months off, months in, the big tour that I did. So won't be far out.
No, that's really, really good. And Emily's asked, was there any onstage mishaps in Joseph? Did anything go wrong potentially on stage?
The biggest one was when we had a donkey, and when Joseph came to Egypt in his chariot of gold. It used to be a motorbike, and as I came on, Jacob had come on the stage with a donkey, but the crew thought it was funny to give the donkey mince. And for those that know, you should never do that. It gives the donkey the runs. And as it walked on the stage, it did its business all across the stage. I didn't know that because I'm in the wings getting ready on my bike. And when I came on the bike, instead of braking, I slid in the donkey's poop and slid all the way along. And my front wheel went over the front of the stage and was facing the musical director. And the stench was unbelievable. And the laughing and the corpsing went on with a standing ovation for 5 minutes.
Wow.
So
that's a good story to tell. I like that one.
It's the truth.
That's
God's honest.
One.
Yeah.
And the next question from Jake. Jake has asked, what is your favorite song in Joseph?
My favorite will always be, if sung properly, Close Every Door. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if people want to hear a nice rendition of that, they can head to the Joseph concert.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Well plugged.
Mike is there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go and check it out because it's a stunning song.
I'll link it in the description of this. The next question is from Evie, and she's asked, do you have a dream role? Now, obviously, you've played a lot of fantastic roles, but is there any way you would like to take a stab at?
Yes, I really would. And I know I could do a wonderful job of the Phantom.
Yes, yeah.
I'd love to vocal that at the right age and the right mindset to cultivate that role. Definitely. Now. So that would be something I would love to do.
That would be awesome. Well, let me know if you ever end up being the Phantom. And
of course.
The last question is from Trevor, and he's asked, if you could get a line on stage, what do you do?
Well, fortunately, and if it's who I think it is answering the question, the more you do in this business, the more equipped you are to get yourself out of it. So in essence, to answer your question, touch wood, I get out of it. I find another lyric that's similar because I've got so many of them in my head spinning round with different shows and different things. I'll always find, but the notes will be the same, but the words will be different.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I've done it.
It's the best thing to do, isn't it? No one will notice a thing.
Because we're human and it happens.
Now, before we go any further, I've just realized, why don't you give your radio show a little bit of a plug?
Well, yes. I mean, obviously, for anybody new that might be watching Robbie's Bants, it's secondcityradio.net. That's the website. My show is Mike Holoway's Digital World, and it's on every Sunday evening, anytime between 8 and 11 p.m. It's sometimes 9 and 11 p.m. It depends on the outage and the demographics of the digital memories at the time. But it's around the world. I've got listeners all over now. So there you are. If you're interested, it's certainly a very different radio show.
It is, but it's really entertaining. So get yourself over there for a little listen.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you.
And as far as I'm aware, you've got that live chat as well, haven't you, at the side where you can...
Yeah, you've got live chat. It's Spreaker.com, which is the platform. You go and create yourself a little platform, and it's free, and it takes 2 minutes. And then you come into a live chat, so you can interact with me at the time of doing the live show. And it's, as you know, it's crazy because I can shout live things out. It's absolutely mental.
It's great. It's great. If anyone hasn't listened, they should definitely go and do that because it's certainly something. And the last thing today is a little quiz on how well you know Joseph. Now, these questions aren't necessarily, I mean, there's two that are like show trivia, and the rest of them are more like cast or cast album sort of trivia, stuff like that.
Right.
So here we go. The first question is, how many songs are in the original London cast recording? So this is on the CD. I mean, you can just take a stab at this, but how many songs do you think there are?
How many songs, including the reprise? You're probably looking somewhere in the regions of 19.
22. Close though. You're only 3 off. That's not bad.
There you go.
Very close. The next
question.
The next one's quite recently been a thing, so you should get this. Which Joseph recently returned to the show to play Pharaoh?
Oh, was that Andrew Gita?
No. It was in the London production quite recently.
Oh,
Um,
right.
and
I don't know. Give me a clue.
Jason.
Oh, of course. Of course, yes,
Good old
yes, Mr.
Jason
Donovan,
Donovan.
man.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. You got me on that one.
I got you there. That was
Yeah.
a tricky. You'll get the rest. The rest of the questions you'll get. I have no doubt. So this is an easy one. I'm looking for two names. Who wrote the music and who wrote the lyrics for Joseph?
Yeah, well, there you are. It's the wonderful duo Andrew Lloyd Webber and the wonderful, wonderful man that is Tim Rice.
Absolutely. I knew you'd get that one. Now here's your more trickier ones for you. This should not be tricky. Listen to the question. Can you name all 12 of Jacob's sons?
Oh, yeah, Reuben was the year of the children. Was Simeon and Levi the next in line, Naphtali and Issachar with Asher and Dan. Zebulun and Gad took the total to 9. Jacob and sons. Benjamin and Judah, which leaves only 1. And then there's Joseph.
Yes, I knew
There
you
you
were
go.
singing it.
There
And
you go.
the last one, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy this one. Do you wanna sing us all the colours of the coat?
The colours of the coat.
Yes,
Yes, absolutely. As you sip a cup of tea. It was red, yellow, green, brown, scarlet, black, ochre, peach, ruby, olive, violet, fawn, lilac, gold, chocolate, mauve, cream and crimson and silver and rose, azure and lemon and russet and grey, purple and white and pink and orange and blue.
Yes. Awesome. Well done. So the last few things I'm going to do, firstly, is to remind the people at home listening or watching or whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
to head down to the description if they can, as I'm going to drop a donation link for Acting for Others, as it's really important to donate at a time like this.
Please donate. No, I'm glad you brought that up. Please go and donate. It's a wonderful cause. It's a very genuine cause. And as I say in my curtain speeches regularly, even if people just put, £2, £3 in, if you times that by a few 100,000 people, it's not a lot out of one person's pocket, but collectively, look what Tom Moore raised.
Yeah.
33 million for those wonderful NHS stunning nurses.
Incredible.
So collectively, a little, people think, oh, £2 not enough. Actually,
it really is.
It really is. 100%. Yeah, well said.
Absolutely. Yeah. And another thing, just to also follow the socials, because you'll be finding out who's going to be next in the Zoom and who I'm going to be chatting with next. So it's also important to do that and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, because that is helpful to me. And finally, I just want to thank you for coming in, Mike. It's been awesome chatting with you and learning all about your record-breaking Joseph.
Yeah, well, it's been lovely talking, and it's been great to, associate with people that care about theatre and care about our business, because collectively, we're all smaller than Andrew Lloyd Webber and all the big boys. But I tell you what, if all the middle-sized and small-sized people keep the word going, keep the energy going, keep doing these little things, they all add up, like raising money for charity, to a big message of care for our industry.
Exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And finally, thank you for watching or listening or whatever at home. It really means the world to me. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Keep watching Robbie. Rock on, Warriors. Bye-bye.